Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper regret crossroads. So before we get into the podcast, I just want to let you know about my website, dateme.tips. That's www.dateme.tips. Do you need help trying to save your crumbling relationship? Would you like advice on how to try and get your ex back? Or maybe you need an action plan on how to try and get a girlfriend or boyfriend. I provide email coaching on all of these subjects and can help your specific situation. Visit my website dateme.tips to find out more details. That's www.dateme.tips. You will also find on my site the books that I've written, my clothing range, and other information. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper regret crossroads. So if you are somebody who has been dumped, it is quite possible you're going to be spending a lot of time trying to figure out what your ex is thinking. And as the dumpee, the person who has been dumped, you are going to be within two positions. You're either going to accept the decision and move on with your life, or you're going to be hoping the dumper changes their mind and you can try to get your ex back. Because ultimately, if you want to get your ex back after you've been dumped, you can only achieve this if the dumper changes their mind. Okay? You can't persuade the dumper, you can't beg them, you can't reason with them. They need to change their mind because they've made the decision to end the relationship, and they now need to change their mind and make the decision to give it another go, because you can't create the type of emotions that are needed for your ex to have a relationship with you. You know, you can't reason with them and persuade them and beg them and get all emotional in front of them and try to generate what they need. You know, this has got to come from within. They need to make this decision themselves that they want to give the relationship another go. And then if at that stage you still want this to happen, then that is when you can start to rekindle your connection. So this can take a long time. You know, it might take days if you're really, really lucky, possibly weeks if you're lucky. But more than likely, it could take months, it could be even up to a year. And in some instances, your ex will never change their mind. So you have to understand there's no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back, but you can do things which increase the likelihood of this happening. And this is what today's podcast is all about, because there's going to come a time where your ex, the dumper, hits a crossroads, and they're either going to regret their decision or they're not going to regret their decision. And it goes without saying that you need them to regret their decision if you want to try to get them back. So once they get to this crossroads, they need to be regretting that decision, because if they don't, then this is when you're going to be part of a statistic of where you've got an ex who doesn't change their mind and never reaches out to you to try to reconnect. So what can you do to increase the chances of your ex regretting their decision at the crossroads? Well, I'm not going to go into it in too much depth in this podcast because I've done it in a lot of my others, but you need to implement my version of the no contact rule. So the no contact rule is something that a lot of people suggest that you implement if you've been dumped and want to try to get your ex back. But the problem is there are many different versions of a no contact rule that you can find online. And I believe that my version gives you the best possible chance of trying to get your ex back. So I suggest that you subscribe to my podcasts so that you can check out the ones that I've done on my theory, and then all the other things which kind of add on to that, so you can give yourself the best possible chance of getting your ex back, because this is the type of thing which can increase the likelihood of your ex, the dumper, regretting their decision. But today we're talking more about the crossroads and where exactly the crossroads comes. So as I alluded to a little while ago, your ex could take days, weeks, months, a year, and as I said, it might never happen. So that's the length of time. It's a very long-winded period of time, a big window of opportunity for when your ex might really start to regret what happened and that they want to rekindle things. So with that being said, we can't exactly pinpoint when this crossroads is going to be, but there is a definite order of events. The only difference is that each segment of this journey takes a different period of time for each individual person, because this is an individual journey. This is a slightly unique experience for every single person that's been dumped, whether you are the dumpee or whether you're actually the dumper. So let's go through the points of call that the dumper is going to be going through. So the first place that the dumper is going to go to once they've dumped you is relief. And you don't want to hear this, but I give you the facts, I give you the truth. And they're going to be going through relief because the likelihood is that they've been thinking about this for a while. Now, even if they haven't, even if it's in one of the rare instances where it's really been an instantaneous decision, and this is more than likely because of something you've done suddenly to them. Okay, so maybe you was cheating on them and they've literally just found out and they've dumped you instantly. Okay, that's one example. But in a lot of instances, when a relationships just start to erode away, when the connection and the feelings start to drift, this can take a little while. And for this reason, the dumper might have been thinking about this for a period of time and not really knowing when's the best time to end the relationship. So once they actually have, they're going to probably be feeling relief. And it's the feeling of, thank God I've done that, thank goodness it's finally happened. I've managed to do the worst bit. The worst bit is over. I'm now feeling that relief of doing something that I know was going to be tough, but I've done it. So that is what most dumpers are going to be feeling initially. It is relief. Now, the second place the dumper is going to go to after relief is excited. And again, you didn't want to hear this if you have been dumped, but again, I'm telling you the truth. They're going to be feeling excited, and this is because they've done the hard bit in their mind. They've got the relief through their system of thinking, yeah, I've done it, that was the hardest bit. Wow, thank God for that. And then they start to realise the possibility that lies before them. So you've got to consider, they was not happy within the relationship. That is why they ended it. So it goes without saying that once they've ended it, they're now feeling free. Okay, they're now feeling like they have new possibilities in front of them, and they're going to be feeling excited. It's a natural feeling when you are moving into a period of your life where you've been kind of hoping to get to for a while. And as I said, if you've been dumped, it's quite possible that your ex was thinking about this for a while. So once they've done it and they've got through the relief, they're now going to probably be feeling excited for the future, excited for the single life that they've heard so much about and probably not been in for a while, so they forgot actually how much of a grind it is. So very excited, and they're going to be going through this period of time where on social media they're probably posting loads of things that they're doing. They might be going to lots of different places, parties, holidays, you name it, try new experiences, photos with all these different people, all this kind of crazy stuff, okay, because we're in the excited period. But this can quite quickly move into the next period, the next part of the journey, and that is guilt. Okay, in most instances, there's going to be a period of time where your ex feels guilty for dumping you. And the reason for this is that in most instances, your ex won't really want to have hurt you, okay? And once they've gone through the excited period, once that part of their life has kind of calmed down and they've started to realise that, yeah, there's this buzz, but all of a sudden it's the grind of life. The grind of life has come back. Not everything is roses, not everything is brilliant, not everything is exciting. The grass doesn't seem greener necessarily. Okay, maybe they got into a relationship really quickly and it was a rebound relationship, and all of a sudden that's over. And maybe they're starting to feel a bit lonely. All of a sudden they was going out every night and now they're not, and they've got that first night where they're just alone in their house, and they're thinking, this isn't so good, actually nobody really cares, I've got my family, which is great, my friends, which are great, but I did have a relationship and they really loved me, and now I don't, and all of a sudden they feel that hollow feeling that you as the dumpee has been feeling since you was dumped. So once, inverted commas, the party is over for your ex, once they've gone through all this crazy excited period and it all calms down, they are more than likely going to have a point where they're alone and they start to feel guilty, because all of a sudden the gravity of what they've done, what the decision they've made, will start to hit them, because they've got nothing else to think about. They're realising that you're probably going through a bad time, and also they're not going through a great time either at this moment. Once their life slows down, in most instances they won't be within a happy new relationship in this period of time. So they're going to be feeling guilty, they're going to be feeling some negative feelings for the first time, and this is when we move to the crossroads. Okay, if you have done everything right, then after the guilty feeling, this is the crossroads where your ex will reach out to you and you can start to rebuild your connection. Okay, the crossroads is so important, because the crossroads is when there is a chance that the dumper might start to miss the dumpee and regret their decision. Now, if you haven't done everything right, if you've pestered your ex, if you've been a bother, if you've gone against all of the advice I give, then there is a strong possibility that at this crossroads, as soon as they felt guilty, they'll think, well, you know what, I do feel guilty, I didn't want to hurt them, but it was for the best. And if that happens at the crossroads, your ex will never reach out to you. Okay, there is also the very small possibility that at the crossroads, they felt guilty, but they are already dating somebody else new. Okay, in most instances, if it's soon after the breakup, it will be a rebound, and that will end anyway, and we'll kind of go through that loop again. But we have to acknowledge, in a small number of instances, they will meet somebody who, it won't be a rebound and it will last the test of time. So there are occasions where at the crossroads, your ex will make the decision to move on with their life because of their circumstances. But when it's not long after the breakup, these are very rare instances. The odds are not in favour of that happening. More than likely, in most instances, when your ex hits the crossroads, the decision about whether they reach out to you or not will be based upon your behaviour. Okay, so it's so vital that you do everything right. If you want to try to get your ex back after you've been dumped, if you behave correctly, then when they get to the crossroads, they will reach out to you. And as we said, the crossroads, they might get to the crossroads in 4 or 5 days. Okay, it's not likely, but they might. They might get to the crossroads in 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe it'd be 4 months. Maybe it'd be 9 months. Maybe it's a year. Once it goes after a year, it is less likely, but you just never know. Okay, and as I said, if they get to the crossroads and they decide that they did make the right decision, then unfortunately you will never hear from them again. So I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I hope you realise how important it is. If you want to try to get your ex back after you've been dumped, you need to behave in the correct way to give yourself a chance. There is no 100% guarantee way to get your ex back, but you want to increase the likelihood of when your ex gets to the crossroads that they actually regret their decision.